Hello, everyone. Just going to discuss what projects I have coming up. I decided I want to get back into doing a metal sculpture. So I'm going to be working in metal, and I have a lot of preparation for this sculpture. I have a lot of preparation for this sculpture. There's a lot of uh, diagrams and drawings to make such a thing. But I've done this before in college, I think it was about my sophomore year. I took a sculpture class. When I took sculpture class, I built a. We were asked to build a monument and make a paper model for the monument to build the monument. And because there's always model making for things like that to make proposals, and they were just going to have us practice making the model. But I was so pleased with my model, and the teacher liked it so much. I asked if I could make that model for the rest of the semester and skip out on the rest of class and just make that sculpture in class. And he said, "Yes, that would be fine if you think you can do it." And I said, "Sure." And I made a little paper frog. I was planning on displaying it at the biology department. I think the part of the assignment was to pick a department you would make a monument. I made it for the biology department of a jumping frog about to get a bug. And there's no bug in it, but there's a jumping frog. And the sections of the legs of this frog, when I built it, were had 300 to 400 rivets in each leg section. There were 6 leg sections, so or 4 leg sections. I don't know. I think there were 4 leg sections. I can't really remember. But anyhow, there was a lot of rivets in this frog because it was cold fabricated and it was brushed sheet aluminum. And I really enjoyed making that frog when I was, but it took a lot of time. So I must have put 500 or 600 hours into making that frog. The the model making took a few days, but the frog itself took the rest of the semester. And at the end of the semester, I was burning at the extra hours trying to um, get it done, and came outside of class to work on it some more. So the way I'd be making this, the theme I have for this sculpture that I want to do in metal that I want to do is a sculpture of a ballerina. And to make this ballerina, I'm going to use my daughter. I haven't asked her yet, but I'm going to ask her if I can use the proportions of my daughter to build this sheet metal um, ballerina. Hopefully, I want her to be in a ballerina pose with her leg outstretched behind her and on her, leaning on her forward and tilted to her side with one arm below her head and one arm above her head. And I want to just pose like that. And I'm thinking about. In the meantime, I've been discussing this with my sculptor cousin, Pete Doyle, and I've been discussing what types of materials, how to use the material and how to construct the piece so that it'll be rigid enough to withstand, say, a hurricane or something like that. Because I don't want to make a flimsy sculpture that would get destroyed in a mobile storm. So I want it to be very strong, and it's going to be metal, so it can be strong. It's going to be aluminum, and I'm thinking of some sort of rod structure from the toe that the sculptor is standing on, all the way to from the heel of the foot that the sculptor is standing on, all the way to the top of the head of the figure, and so that's going to be like an L shape because she's leaning forward, making an L shape with that leg. So and one leg outstretched behind her, uh, might have a rod going down it also. Uh, so it'd come up to make it like a T. Hello, I'm back again. So my computer ran out of power. Wasn't plugged in for some reason. Anyhow, as I was saying, we're deciding on. I'm deciding on how to construct this piece. So really getting into. I'm going to start with photographs and measurements of my daughter, and then I'll go through a 4-step process to make this uh, sculpture. I'm going to start with charcoal drawings and work out shapes and forms and of a lot of charcoal drawing, working out different shapes and forms. I want to have each form of the, say, the forearm, the shoulder, this part of your arm, this part of your arm. These all in separate forms. Like the hand be a form, this be a form, this be a form, torso a form, head a form, neck a form, sections of the legs a form, feet a form, and bolt them all together and have all the forms made from riveted sheet metal. And the in between the forms, I'm thinking about going with thicker metal in between the forms to make it stronger where the joints are. And I'm not sure if it's going to need the structure of the rod inside of it. It depends. So it'll be kind of an experiment, and I might have to make a second one if I go in one direction and it fails. But from charcoal drawings, I'm going to go to pencil and then pencil draw each form that I decide on. And then from pencil drawings, I'll make a paper model of about 8 inches high. And then from that, I'm going to make a model with metal flashing for roofing. It comes in a roll at Lowe's. It's pretty cheap. Get a roll of metal flashing, a 15-foot roll of metal, 10-foot roll of metal flashing. If they have a 5-foot roll, that's all I need, a 5-foot roll of flashing. And make a 24-inch model of the sculpture. And the 24-inch model would probably have rivets, but it wouldn't be as many as on the final sculpture. So I'd have rivets with big gaps. So I'm not sure how much detail I'll go into in the 24-inch sculpture, but I'll most likely be able to sell the 24-inch model as a sculpture because it'll be professionally done on a mounted base. Wooden, build a wooden box base for it and all that for the 24-inch model. So maybe sell it also. And the paper model will probably be dismantled to make that metal model. But I'm going to make, because the pieces of the paper from the paper model is going to have basically all the sheet metal pieces will be in the paper model, but the flashing model will have a different type of metal at the connections to try to experiment and seeing how strong we can make this sculpture without a rod structure inside of it. Strong, I can make this sculpture without a rod structure inside. And then when I make the final model, final version, um, we'll go into more detail in the connections as it'll be bigger. But not sure if I'm going to have connection plates that are different shapes in between each joint, or if I'm going to have where because the forms themselves are going to be pretty rigid, but not one, say one sheet of metal. Like if I bolted one sheet of metal on the form to another single sheet of metal on the other form, that's probably not going to work. But if I have a plate that 4 sheets of or 5 sheets of metal attached to that go right at the elbow that go across to, I use 4 or 5 strips of metal from here to here and another plate that it attaches to, and then a plate for the hand, and these 2 plates bolted together and the elbow plate bolted together with another one here. I think I could build a pretty rigid form and bolt it together with bolts, and the bolts would do fine if the metal's thick enough and it's not going to be flimsy metal. So that's what my cousin Pete was saying, and I agree with him. It's going to be, that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is with a rod inside of them that connects everything together. Rods, you know, a figure shaped rod form that fits inside of everything. You know, make it out of welded together rod first or bolted, so connect the rods. But I want to do this completely cold fabrication. I don't want to use any welding at all. I've never welded before, but I have done a lot of drilling and sawing and cutting and hammering in my life. And that's all this would be, is drilling and sawing and cutting and hammering. All rivets. I think this one's going to have quite a lot of rivets. So just say if you had a forearm right here and you had, say, 1, 2, 3, so say you had 5 strips of metal there and you've got to go 15 inches. Uh, you're going to have a rivet about every inch and a half there. So you got a lot, you got every inch and a half, you got a rivet. So you got 10 rivets there, and in each strip, and just so there's going to be 50 rivets long ways, and then however many rivets around the plate, probably 3 rivets, 2 or 3 rivets per strip. Rivets on the plate might be numerous, whereas closer together, they're half inches apart on the plate, and they're inch and a half apart on the seam of a connection. So, like the forms of it will be like the form of the arm. So I have to make curvature in the strips of metal to emulate the muscles of the arm, where the arm is larger. It's larger here than it is here. And then the form of this part of the arm will be, this bicep. And I'll use the biceps. I'm not sure. Anyway, so I don't know that much about anatomy, but I pretty much can just look at my own body or just to figure out how to make the forms, because it's pretty similar to a female body in terms of muscle, but the torso, of course, is different. And that's about it. But of course, it's a ballerina. It's not a man, so it's not formed and shaped the same. But the proportions are going to determine that. Then those proportions are going to be measured off my daughter, which is length from the wrist to I'll be measuring from here to here to here. We're measuring all the different pieces that I make. I have to have measurements off my daughter to get the right length of the piece. And just connect it all together. And I'm going to make sure that the connections don't create gaps in my calculations. That's important too. So there's quite a lot of drawing. It's an engineering type thing. I would think it's thousands of rivets and close to 1,000 hours of work on this thing to really do it right. I did 500 hours on the frog, but it wasn't nearly as complicated as a human ballerina form. A jumping frog is a lot easier. It's just all legs and body. Whereas this is, legs, arms, head. Got to do the face somehow of the ballerina. Got to give her hair somehow. Got to give her, things like that that the frog doesn't really have. And so it's going to be interesting, and I'm going to enjoy doing this. It's going to be it's a summer long project, and I do know that after that summer, I will be getting into. So probably around July, I'll get back into ceramics. I don't have very much materials left in the studio, and the materials I do have, I want to keep them in stock for people that are buying them, because I am having a customer every month or so come buy materials, and every month somebody comes buy a lot of materials, and I want to have those materials for them because I have them at such a better price than they can get them online. And I just want to help the artists that I can that call me. And if you're in Mobile and you're seeing this, you know that I have $1 a pound clay, and I have $8 a pint glaze. $8 a pint is about half the price it would be online, and that's that. And I've got used tools and new tools. Resupply my tools, and I use my tools a little bit, but every tool is the same price. Every tool is 250, 250 a tool, any one you want, and just kind of averages out to 250 a tool. Some of my tools you might buy for 250 that I paid $6 for, but another tool you might buy from me that I got for 15 cents. So that's just the way it is. So I'll let you just choose any tool you want. They're all 250 a tool, and make your own kit of tools for $25. You got 10 tools that you can really use that are the specific tools that you want, instead of just buying a kit with all this extra stuff you're not going to use. So I do suggest you come get clay from me. It's a lot cheaper than online, way cheaper. And if you were to buy clay anyhow, you have to drop the Gulfport or Pensacola if you live in Mobile, because they don't have a clay outlet for clay in Mobile. The clay you're going to want, if you go to Hobby Lobby, I believe it's going to be like $35 for a 25-pound bag, which is not $1 a pound. It's $10 more for a 25-pound bag. And I don't think there is anywhere in town that'll sell you a 50-pound box for $50. I will. I get my boxes for about $45 when I buy 10 or more in Pensacola, and usually after gas and a trip over there, it's about $48 a box. So I don't buy the clay until I have. I'm not raising the price on the clay until I have enough customers buying the clay could raise the price to make money off of it. I make money off the tools and the glaze. Because the glaze I get for a very good price because I buy when they're always wanting 1 pint to do small projects. I buy 80 pints at a time. I buy colors. And so and I bet it's not even wet. It's just dry powder. That makes it cheaper. So also those are the projects coming up, making that sculpture. Uh, then in the fall, I'm getting into pottery for international festival in November. So I'm gonna do the international festival this year. I've done it before, and I think maybe I'll find somebody that I've met before at international festival that'll be happy to see me. I do hope I see some old patrons that show up and say, "Oh, what are you doing here? We haven't seen you here in years. We want to buy some of your pottery." Because I don't think I've been to the international festival since about 2015. It's been about 10 years since I've done it. But I did the international festival from about 2006 all the way to 2015. Did it for 9 years or so. And then I had a really bad turnout the final time I did it and didn't sell but like 150 or $250 worth of stuff. And I was just so disappointed I never went back. But I'll go back, see, test the water, see if they want to see a potter at the International Festival again. And the sculpture's going to be life size, so it'll be same size as Eva. And after I do the metal flashing, it's the aluminum part, brush sheet aluminum. I'm excited about that project. We've almost got all the molds moved into the backyard. Here at the studio, we were donated some 1,500 ceramic molds. I've been moving them around. That's what's on the priority list right now. Once we have those all situated on the shelving we have to build, then I'll dig deeper into this sculpture. So the sculpture's still a week away, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3. See how long it takes to move these molds. Anyway, that's about it. That's what I wanted to go over. Have a good night.